So,
Well, hi everyone. We have a super treat for you today. We have Shalita here with us, who is a Tony-nominated actress. However, she has created a patent-pending plant-based hair treatment that solved every one of her chronic and complex type 4 hair problems. And I know that you guys want to know what it is, what she's been doing. So with that, I'm going to turn the time over to her, and she's going to share all of this with you. So welcome.
oh, Sean, thank you so much for that warm welcome. So I'm without much further ado, what's on your screen right now is the 4 Naturals treatment. So as I said to you when we first spoke, everybody has like some foam or some mousse, some curl cream or conditioner, and this isn't that. This is really addressing the core pain points for an entire group of people who, until the 4 Naturals treatment, believed that the problems that they had were inherent, were due to their race, right? This is just DNA. But the 4 Naturals treatment says, no, those are problems, solvable problems. So what's on your screen is, on the before side, is pretty typical African-American hair in that it's not damaged, but it's dry. It doesn't respond well to water. In fact, it stands up, it shrinks and gets stiff, right? It doesn't even process consistently, right? Products don't perform always consistently for this group of people with this hair type. They have the product junkie mentality, and it's only because they try something and then it betrays them later and it doesn't work. Well, 4 Naturals treatment turns all of that around. And so on the after side is what your hair becomes. So pre-treatment, your hair is set on fro. Post-treatment, your hair is set on curl, and that's just it. And it just gets better. So every treatment has a start, and this was mine. So in my before life, I'm an actress. Most people know me from my first series regular job in CIS New Orleans. But the people that watched that show knew that my character's ponytail changed every episode. Sometimes within the episode, I had a completely different scalp construction, right? It was like, what is going on with Percy's head? But what they didn't know was what was going on the other side, that I was chasing damage. So January 25th photo, that was in the middle of season 3. So this ponytail construction that we had was like the circular wig. I would braid most of my hair down underneath, and then I would sew the wig to my hair, and then they would use the perimeter of my hair every day in New Orleans, Louisiana, humidity, and they would flat iron my hair. And I had taken it down, and these were the photos that I actually sent to the producer, because I noticed the clear difference between what was underneath the wig and what we were using. And in season 2, I had traction alopecia, a bald spot in the center of my head from the ponytail construction that we had with the extensions. When I came onto the show, season 1, I was actually still reeling from a flat iron session that happened about 3 years before that caused me to have to big chop my hair. Then I got nominated for a Tony. And if you look at my Tony press, from when I started the Tony press to when I ended, you'll see that I had this straight hair, bob situation. And that was response to, I had been natural for 7 years, all through Juilliard. And then after I graduated, I had an audition where I was like, oh, I'm going to flat iron my hair. As soon as I rinsed it, my hair was shot, literally damaged straight. And so I was fumbling with trying to get a curl pattern and cutting it. And so I put the relaxer in, and then I got the Tony, and then I was flat ironing my hair. And by the end, I had a pixie cut. And so then a few years later, I'm on the biggest show of my life, Come On season 1. And I have this wig and my kind of short hair. And then going into season 2, I'm like, can I get some texture? And then we had all of these issues. And so the June photo is in hiatus between 3 and 4. I go to Aveda, and by this point, Sean, I live in wigs, right? Like I call them my hair hats, actually. I had a gym hair hat. It has a sweatband on it. I had my Aaron's hair hat. It's a little curlier, so my edges can be a little fuzzy, I don't have to worry about with my hair. That was my life. And so I go into Aveda to get my hair colored, and I go in the back and I'm having this like hair hat moment of like, do I take it off in front of everybody or do I take it off in the back? Take it off in the back. And I see the front of my hair and I realize like, wow, when I go back to work in 2 months, I'm probably going to be bald on my hairline, because just 6 months ago, my hair was to my nose. And now I have less than 1.5 inches of hair on my hairline. And so that photo is a photo that I realized I had to quit this $1 million job. This was the season 4 look that like Twitter was like, oh my God, like, okay, Sean, like this was bad, man. So like, I wasn't even watching the show past the 2nd season because I had so much trauma. My biggest episode in season 2 was an underwater episode that required 2 weeks of practice in chlorinated water, in swamp water. We shot in swamp water, 100 feet from an alligator, and then when I took those extensions down, I discovered at like 27, 28 years old, a bald spot in the center of my head. So this is just like, you think you got your dream and it's just like a nightmare. So I'm not watching this show, but every week in season 4, man, I'm getting these notifications. What the shoe polish? What in the unnatural hairline? Like it was terrible. It was terrible. And then on set, directors that I had worked with in previous seasons would be like, so are you like, that's new. You happy with that? And I'm like, yeah, it's great. It's awesome. It's super easy. You just slap it on, take it off, because at this point, Sean, I had done it all and nobody was here to save me. Like nobody was dealing with the pain of all of this, like really bad hair loss. I'm an actress, but I have this atypical hair, right? I mean, this typical hair, right? But I have this atypical job that requires the use of my hair. Let's talk about my typical hair. For most Black women with type 4, and when I say type 4, I'm referring to Andre Walker's hair classification system. He was Oprah's hairstylist, and he created this hair classification system that breaks down the hair patterns from type 1 to type 4. And since he did that, there are other hair classification systems that even have subtypes on these numbers. But the cosmetology board does not acknowledge that there are even different hair patterns. The cosmetology board teaches hair is hair and it passes out straight hair mannequins, which is why no one knows what to do with textured hair. Nobody, even down to detangling. Even the people with this hair type suffer every 2 weeks or month and a half if you do your wash day because they are a marathon. But with handfuls of your hair on the side of the bathtub, it is mind-boggling and painful. And so it makes even having to maintain your hair, it's a big deal, man. And so these New York photos, that's what my hair looked like underneath a hair hat on any given day. Just dry, like no hair, no like curl pattern. There was like no joy there. My strands super thin. If I look at a heat tool, I'm heat damaged. And then San Francisco, this is what happens when I want to embrace my hair type, my natural curl pattern. 2 days before I took this photo, I spent all day in this natural hair LA salon and $200. And this woman is making my curls by blow drying my hair straight and then 2-strand twisting it. This is something that we all do. But listen, typical African-American hair, if God breathes on this hair, you're in Froland, man. And so like 2 days later, this is what I look like, dude. So it was just like, there's no rest for the weary. Like there's nowhere to go. if you're doing protective styles, your hair isn't protected. If you are trying to embrace your natural curl pattern, it's expensive, it's inconsistent, it's frustrating. So I had to leave my job because it was problem after problem. You know, every solution we added, this Band-Aid, another issue festered. If we did the extensions, you know, I get traction alopecia. If we do the wigs, I have hair breakage. If I do a full lace wig, it was humiliating. We had our highest rated episode was 21 million people live. This show, I still get residual checks off that job. Okay. Like this show is aired all over the world and it was humiliating. And these were the real like comments that people would leave. It wasn't about me doing my own stunts or the jokes or like the chemistry. It was about how I looked. So this is usually like the start of a villain origin story. It's usually like, and then I burned CBS down, right? It's like, never worked again. I knifed them in the parking lot. But for me, that wasn't like the goal. For me, the fear was I'll never work again. Well, I worked 3 months after I left that job. I did Santa Clarita Diet. And then right after that, I did Shot Search Party. But then in 2019, I'm like, all right, the biggest fear is through, but those characters were still in wigs. So like, if you get another series regular job because the hair trailer is the way that it is, you're going to have the same problem because you have this head of hair. So I had to solve my own problem. And I did with the 4 Naturals treatment. So this is after like my 3rd treatment, not directly after my 3rd treatment. This was against a wall in my home in Toluca Lake after a week after I had wet my hair. I pole danced for exercise. So I'm rolling around on the floor on this hair. I'm sleeping on this hair. And it's just, it moves. It's unbelievably soft. Like my favorite thing to do is like look in people's eyes when they actually touch my hair, because I recognize that they're like, this is softer than even I imagined, right? And so I also ran out and I flat ironed my hair, no heat damage. So now I have everything I want and more. And in 2019, I started the 4 Naturals treatment. So because I knew what I knew about the cosmetology board based on my first dream, which was to be the shampoo girl at my grandma's hair salon. My grandma's owned a hair salon since before I was born. All right. I was ornery. All right. I'd let that hose go on people who didn't tip me well, but that was my first dream. And she was like this Black business owner that was like excellent in my eyes. She was learned, you know, she was really a learner. She would go to these trade shows every couple of years and pick up what's new and what's hot. You know, she changed up the salon. She had a consistent client base, but I knew what she knew about the hair that grew out of our head, and it was nothing. She knew how to hide it. She knew how to blend it into other hairs. You know, she knew how to fry it. She knew how to color it, but she didn't know how to thrive it. And so in 2019, I switched my focus from the cosmetology board to cosmetic chemistry, which is the study of hair for making hair products. And so in this area, this is hair science, like just pure, not with a raced lens, right? And so I was like, what is hair? Got that answer. Well, why do people say that hair is dead? Got that answer. Well, all right. It's how many parts, like what parts do what in the hair? And so what I put together was porosity. All right. That is the cuticle health. And when you're low porosity, you have that phenomenon of the hair, the water just sitting on your hair. And then when you're high porosity, you're like me, you got holes in your cuticles. So you need something that's going to coat the strand, like potholes, man. We need to coat that strand. And so what coats the strand? Why do we have this wash day ritual sitting with junk, avocado, mayonnaise, conditioner that we bought, a mask that we bought? We believe that if you sit with it on your hair for X amount of hours, when you rinse it out, the hair is going to be magically like it was when the product was on the hair. And it never happens, but we keep doing it, which is why it's just a ritual. But that's because hair is dead, meaning hair has a negative charge. That negatively charged hair requires an ingredient with a high cationic or positive charge because opposites attract. None of those ingredients that I listed have a cationic charge. None of your Carol's daughter masks, none of those ingredients have a cationic charge. They have humectants, but they don't have an electrical charge. You know what does? Henna. And it's a plant. And so we'll talk about why the sphincter goes up when I use the H word for our cosmetology certified people. But we'll start here with this hair timeline. So this was 2019 after my third treatment. Between the first and the second photo, that's 2 years. I did 2 Brazilian blowouts on this hair. I booked you and shot you. And on that Brazilian blowouted, chemically damaged hair, I had my hair trailer person flat iron my hair every day for 6 months. I came to that show with 13 inches. I left with 16. And that photo is the photo I took for W Magazine after we shot the show. And yes, that is my hair. And then between the second and the third photo, I did an intentional big chop of all of that Brazilian blowout, 13 inches I cut off, and I'll show you. For the largest audience that I had for 4 Naturals. And these are the photos since, and this is the hair since. Tale of 2 characters. NCIS, couldn't flat iron, couldn't get my hair wet, couldn't use any hair product. I could not wear my natural curl pattern because I did not have curls. I had a fro. And so I was stuck in the wigs and extensions with people who didn't know much about how to blend my hair with wigs and extensions. Now, post-treatment, I can flat iron, I can get my hair wet, I can use any hair product. I can use wigs and extensions, but I've only used clip-ins. That's as much as I've used since post-treatment, right? And so pre-treatment healthy hair, this was 2018 in a dressing room. I'm like, wow, you got big hair, girl. You did good. You saw what I looked like in 2017. So I was like, improved. But post-treatment, this is the healthiest hair of my life. This hair, I am completely free from every hair care problem I suffered pre-treatment. The dryness, the lack of versatility, the lack of curl definition. I could not just use water on my hair or gel. My hair was hard. There was no thriving. And so this was the year of Grow With Me. 2022, we did the Grow With Me challenge. Can you retain ½ an inch a month? And so I've cut bangs in my hair since, I go straight to curly within the week now. And how fast is it to get my curl pattern? Go to my Instagram. You'll see I put on a bathing suit top and reverted an old silk press, and I get curls in less than a minute. So any girl with this hair type is like, I don't have to be afraid of the pool. I don't have to be afraid of the beach. So that addresses a whole cultural stereotype about Black people. We don't get in the water. Well, we don't get in a lot of water for a lot of reasons, but one of those reasons is definitely our hair. And so if you don't have any of those other reasons as a Black person with this hair type, then this completely sets you free. So this is truly the future of textured hair treatments. So that's what it's done for me. This is what it does for everyone else. So this is a first treatment result. How does it work? Well, our boundaries, right? Our values, my target demographic, Black women with this hair type, we want natural ingredients, man. We want detangling. We want hair knowledge. So right now, hair salon owners are having this experience with this hair type where people are like, do you know what my hair type is? Do you know my porosity? Because they're getting their PhD from YouTube, right? And so they're like testing you out, right? To see if you have value. And so in this deck, I talk about what I go through with salons. We're right now, we're in 3 salons right now across the US. So we have henna, Cassia obovata, and slippery elm. These are plants and they have a high cationic charge. Henna, which is known for the cosmetologist. So let's address this here. When I speak to cosmetologists, they say, no, henna is bad for the hair. It's bad for color. And I go, yes, that is what you remember, but that's incomplete. And it's also not all it's just incomplete information. The cosmetology board says, and I read it, that there are hennas that contain chemical and metallic salts. These chemical and metallic salts have a chemical reaction with hair color that will cause the hair to smoke, fire, and the client could potentially drop into the pits of hell. That part was editorial. And so because you never know what kind of henna powder your client used, never color over henna, always do a strand test, right? Okay, great. Well, that's henna with metallic and chemical salts. That doesn't address the henna lawsonia, which is just the plant that's been dried and pulverized into a powder, and you just add water and maybe some other humectants. And so where did I get this from? India. So my formulation is based on India and North Africa. The people of India have been using henna for their hair for centuries. Yes, we know they do the henna tattoos, but they also use it for their hair. When you see Indian men with orange in their beards, that is a henna treatment. Why do they use henna for their beards? Because it softens the hair. It coats the strand. It makes the hair react so much better when water gets on it. It just, gets wet. You just want your hair to get wet. Like we don't talk about that, but that's a problem that people have across the hair typing chart from 1 to 4, because just because you have a type 1 hair strand doesn't mean that you have a balanced porosity. You could have straight type 1 hair and have a low porosity hair strand, right? Or be high porosity. That's our straight hair friends that have that thin split end kind of hair, right? And so that's addressing the different aspects of hair health. And so Cassia bovata, it's known as neutral henna, in that it acts like henna where it attaches to the strand, but it's not permanent. It rinses out. And slippery elm increases the tensile strength of the strand. And so this is a first treatment result. This is a photo that we took. We did the Salon-centric trade show in January. And so I met with thousands of salon owners. And what did we do at this trade show? I'm buck wild, Sean. I don't know if you picked up on that. But right now, all 5 of the relaxer manufacturers are being sued. L'Oreal is one of those. And L'Oreal owns Salon-centric. And so I just created a deck that essentially said, you're getting sued. What are you going to do? What are you going to replace this service with? Because it's a question of when, not if. If you have a product that has been linked to cancer and hormone disruption, the question is, when will you be forced to discontinue this product? And so because there is a dearth of offerings for people with this hair type, what on earth are you going to do? Should offer them 4 naturals treatment. And why? Because I can prove it, baby. So I had 2 models come and I only treated half of their head. And I treated it on the Friday. And we just let 2,000 people play with their hair on Saturday and Sunday. And this is what it looked like on Sunday. And so both sides of the hair have Eco Styler gel on it. Can you believe it? And it's the same woman's head. We just treated her on Friday for an hour. That's the difference. Once you rinse this out, it does what you hope every hot oil treatment would do for you. Henna stays in the hair. And that's why you get that warning from the cosmetology board about the henna that has been mixed with metallic salts, because henna just stays in the hair and you have to physically lift it out. But for people with this hair type whose strands are like angel hair, those babies just shoot right up to Jesus and then dive right back to the scalp. And then you got so many tangles, man. We need something that's heavy, that's gonna make the hair hang. That's henna. So this is what the treatment does over color. And I'll show you what it does under when you color over it. So this is henna over color. So as you can see, she has this like dusty blonde. You can tell from her roots. It's been a while since she's even colored her hair. That's one treatment. She was a 4 Naturals hair spa client. And so look at the tone, it deepens it, but can you see those curls? And she's a personal trainer. And so for her, sometimes she slaps on a wig because she doesn't want to deal with sweat. Sweat on this pre-treatment hair, it makes it do what it looks like right there. And for most of us, we don't want to leave the gym looking like that, right? Because you got other stuff to do and it takes so much time to do your hair. And so the henna treatment, one treatment, saves you so much time until your next one, right? You can do your wash days are 30 minutes because your hair just gets wet. You don't have to treat your hair before you get it wet because that was what the treatment did. It's still in your hair. And you know it because your hair is just behaving differently. And every treatment, the hair gets better. This is Kelly. I met her at an audition. So in 2019, I started the hair lab where I treated about 6 to 7 women, gave them 6 to 9 treatments over the course of 2 months. Why 2 months? Because I wanted to treat them frequently to see if there was a difference in the hair just on the basis of you treating it, because that's what I experienced, but I needed to be able to chart that. And so we'll see this later in this deck. So I saw her, she looked like her pre-treatment photo with a headband on. And I said, I applaud you for embracing your hair as it grows out of your head, but it can be better. This was one treatment. This is the same day. And so what are you witnessing? I'm not saying that I just grew her hair just spontaneously out of her head, baby. This is $1 million, give it to me. No. You see her edges here. The only reason you see that is because her attached strands everywhere else on her head are standing straight up. Well, after one treatment, the henna drops and defines the hair. So it makes the hair that's attached work better for you, which gives you opportunity to camouflage these more troubled areas. And even if you were to lift that hair, the hair on her scalp now is curlier. So it looks intentional. She can like lay that down. You see, this gives her more choices, more options, right? It makes the hair that she has work better by revealing its beautiful, most perfect curl pattern. And so it is truly life-changing for this hair type, right? Like one side to one side is literally hours in a day for making just one ponytail, right? She can just wet this down and get smooth, shiny hair. Why is it so shiny? Because it's full of plants. It's full of henna and cassia, and that stuff just shines. It just catches the light, and it's permanently in her hair. So she has this permanent shine. So this is truly a treatment. So what's the difference between 4 Naturals and every other thing? Just going back to how we started, the difference is those mousses and gels say, if you put this mousse or gel in your hair, you'll see curl. I'm saying after one treatment, every mousse and gel is going to make your hair curl because your hair is just set to curl. That's it. So this is the progressive aspect of the treatment. So this is all of these people were treated 9 to 11 days apart from their treatments. So this was the month of August 2019. So this was her before. Typical problems, don't have to list them again. That's one treatment. At the end of August, she looked completely different. Her hair just sits differently. Why? Because henna is progressive. Every treatment builds on the last, which is why the people of India have such a fabulous hair reputation. These thick, strong, shiny strands. It can be genetic, but it's maintained by henna. And so this is Keisha, carpal tunnel syndrome. So she can't do her fro. So she was going every 2 weeks to get it pressed out. And so she wasn't seeing any growth, right? She goes to Hawaii between her first and second treatment, and she had the time of her life with her hair because it didn't take up so much time in her life on that vacation. Chemically treated hair. So I told you I Brazilian blowouted my hair. Why was I able to keep growing it? Because I kept treating it with the henna. So yeah, the strands were damaged, but I was building on them. So as long as I don't re-damage it, I'm just regenerating and just making the hair better. So she would curl, as you can see the before, she would curl her hair. She put this Texlax in her hair and she didn't like how her hair looked. So she had to still do her hair. Post-treatment, that's the curl that was in her hair, and that's what the 4 Naturals treatment revealed. So she just wets it, and it does that wet and wavy thing that she hoped the actual chemical would do, but it didn't. And so here's my color. This is Amore. She's a licensed cosmetologist. She loves hair color, as you can see. So for her pre-treatment life cycle was a big chop. It was her hair would grow, she would color it, it would deteriorate, she would big chop. It would grow, she would color it, it would deteriorate, she would big chop. She wanted to stop that 2 years ago. And so that's her before photo. She used some pH balance shampoo, dried out her hair. One treatment, that was her after. And then she started that cycle again with the color. But you know what? She never cut it. She never had to cut it. This is what she's looking like contemporarily now. So she can flat iron her hair. She can go to the beach with this hair. She can color it any color, but this is her hair dream, to be this like wild, beautiful, red hair, curly goddess, right? And so this is a strand test on a 4Naturals Curlfriend who's been treating her hair with my 4Naturals treatment for 3 years. That's an even lift because her hair is evenly coated. So that's why post-treatment hair, it responds better, it processes better, it styles better because the hair is coated. Severely heat damaged strands. So this young lady was 14. Her mom was flat ironing her hair. She wanted to see her curls. She thought she had to big chop. We did the treatment on her. This is 1 to 3. So the curl just gets better and better. Every treatment, the curl shrinks up better. The curl happens more. And between her treatments, she was still flat ironing her hair. All she needed to do was treat. And every treatment, her hair, her curl got stronger. And so it gives you true curl versatility. It works for type 3. It also can reveal what your true curl pattern is. Remember, Black people's hair span the hair type chart. This girl's West African. She's the only person in her family with that hair, the stringy, she could grow it, but she couldn't like really get it to behave and detangle. And so one treatment was revealed, she has a type 2 curl pattern. Type 1, there's no difference in the light. It just catches light better. Literally, the hair, every hair gets better. Alopecia. Again, as you saw with Kelly, it makes your attached strands work better for you, giving you options. So this treatment for my salon partners puts hair care for all hair in their chair. So just treat the hair and you get rid of all of these issues, because henna is an Ayurvedic plant, and the people of India, their Ayurvedic system is about solving root causes, not the symptoms. So when you treat the hair, you are truly doing like a real health regimen, improving the health of the hair, full stop. And then your wash days. So it's truly a Swiss Army knife solution for the hair. But this is like going back, and this is like the end of the deck. Hollywood and the hair trailer has a problem. But you know who else has a problem? The salons. It's hard attracting and retaining new clients. Retail doesn't do as well as it used to do. There is a lack of staff textured hair training. I always say moms and salons get a consistent F grade for detangling textured hair. If you look at any salons, their worst reviews are usually around detangling the textured hair. She didn't know what she was doing. My child cried. You know, that's what we're used to. But no one's interrupting the cycle. We just all accept it as is. You don't believe that you could do any of my pre-treatment girlies' hair. If they walked in and were like, I want to do this thing, you would have a moment, Sean, right? Because you don't typically touch this hair type because you know how inconsistent it is. So then there's a lack of specialized services. There's the relaxer that will be discontinued. Then you got the Brazilian blowout that should be discontinued. And then you've got every like straightening thing in between, and they don't do what we want them to do. And thanks to YouTube, now these people got their PhDs. They want to know this stuff. And you don't know this stuff, but you got to know this stuff if you want to do this hair, right? Because you can solve your revenue problems by opening yourself up to a different market. They're around and they need it. So why not be able to get the standardized, like for me, it's systems. 1 + 1 = 2. My treatment is 1, 2, 3, 4. We have manuals so that we make everything standardized. So it doesn't matter who you are. When you do these things and add this treatment, the hair just behaves, man. So it's all good. It's all good. And difficult hair equals difficult customers. If you're used to your balayage coming out like bomb, and you get one of my pre-treatment girls come in and they want a balayage, you're going to be like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this, right? And then you might be brave and you might try it, but it doesn't come out the way you wanted it to. And it didn't come out how she wanted it to either. And so that's a difficult experience for both of you. And so for me, I want to interrupt all of these pain points. These are pain points for all of us, right? And this treatment is the solution. And so for me, post-treatment, so this was a deck that I did for the hair union for Hollywood. I pointed out all of the issues that happen in Hollywood. This is why, for me, my issue with my hair, I wasn't the only Black woman that has had an issue with her hair in Hollywood. I'm just one that had a pretty egregious one, right? But there are so many Black women in Hollywood. We are wealthy. We are at the top. Why are we having these problems? Nobody's solved. Think about all of the Black women celebrities. Most of them are bewigged. What does that say about how we value, right? The hair that comes out of our heads, right? Because also society makes it hard for us. The Crown Act is a movement that's trying to address hair discrimination for those of us that rely on protective styles like braids. We can be suspended from schools. We could lose our jobs for getting your hair braided, right? Or dreading your hair, locking your hair. You can be shunned. And so that is an outward, external, like no. And then you have the actual experience of having to do your hair every day and it betraying you, man. And it's just like, there's no help. There's no rest for the weary, right? And so that's at every level, class-wise in the Black community, which is why we all just believe it's just a DNA thing. It just is what it is, right? But it ain't. The 4 Naturals treatment says it's not. And so this card is really about the system of Hollywood, right? Like I understand the salon system and why the salons are failing consistently, this population of hair. And you could be making buku dollars, man, but you don't got the knowledge, you don't got the confidence, and this hair will own you, right? You'll end up giving refunds, right? And so that's why people don't want to touch it. And so we understand salons, but when we get to Hollywood and they have a hair union, right? The hair union does not encourage or like insist on their union members being able to know how to do textured hair, but they work with actresses with this hair. And so it's just a systematic thing. What happened with me, people weren't trained for the sew-ins, but they wanted them. So they paid for me to get my hair done off-site, but no one on set knew how to maintain it. So I looked crazy. Then they didn't have up-to-date wig application. So that made me the problem. They didn't maintain what they paid for. They could not do 2-strand twists. And I was encouraged to do my own hair. And that's the experience for most actresses, that we do our own hair to get on set. That is an unequal experience, right? Now, the reasons behind this are not racist, but it does still affect one race negatively, consistently, right? And then post-treatment, I still have people commit hair crimes because just because my hair is better and I can treat damage doesn't mean that I'm going to be meeting hairstylists that won't damage my hair, right? I've had post-treatment, I've had to file like this is what she did. She used got to be glued on my hairspray, and then flat ironed on top of that. That's a hair crime. That's felonious, right? Then there's a lack of curl or texture hair knowledge and an apathy toward it. And I still do my own hair. If I'm wearing my curls, okay, just give me some water. Here we go. We're touched up. See ya. Bye. You know, if I'm wearing it straight, you know, I always pre-stretch it. So I let you get a pass on it and I watch how high you keep the heat up. You know, this is just for shits and giggles, man. You know, because at the end of the day, I don't trust anyone to take my hair from its curly state to its stretched state without creating damage because they don't have the knowledge, right? And so what can be done? Well, when we got to the end of that meeting, she was like, who knows, but just send me that treatment, girl, because I know I can fix the hair. We'll fix the system later, but let's fix the hair.
Oh, that's awesome. So for those that are listening and want to know how to get their hands on it, what is that process? What is that step?
Well, if you're a consumer and you're like, I just want to get it, go to fournaturalshair.com. It's in our store. And then in the next week and a half, we'll be putting up our 3 salon partners on our website. And I'll also have a box for any salon owners who are interested in carrying this treatment because this treatment comes with education. I am working on getting a certification program for the 4 Naturals treatment because it is an imperative that you know how to detangle. So I want to make sure that they understand how to do that and they show up for it. But you get that free. It all comes with just being in partnership, and that's where we're at. So if you're a salon, email us at inquire@fournaturalshair.com directly if you would like to carry it. Let's book a meeting. I'll take you through it, and we'll send you your coupon code. And it ships to you. Everything, all of our inventory is at a fulfillment center in Illinois. And so when you order it online, they pick, pack, and ship it to you. I'm not in the kitchen making it. Let's talk about what I have. The henna mud mask, it's patent pending, but it's also dermatologically tested. So there's 3 treatments that come in every jar. And if you are selling this treatment retail, you let your clients know you can sleep with this treatment in your hair. The longer you leave it on, the more henna is just able to absorb onto your strand. And so for your client who would buy the service from you for anywhere from $125 to $200, in Rhode Island, she commands $200 a treatment. I give you a salon manual that puts the ranges in your state, in your area for relaxers to Brazilian blowout, because this is a permanent treatment. So let's talk about Hose Salon in Rhode Island. She has one of her treatment results. That young lady between her first and her second treatment went from like the worst hair morning of her life, which was her treatment day, happened to be her and her mother had a fight with her hair that morning before school because it wasn't behaving and her mom couldn't help her. And they were raging at each other in the morning. And so they had this hair appointment at night and they got the hair done. And for 2 weeks, right, between her treatment, she had her extracurricular activities with sweat. And what did we talk about in that Zoom? Because she did her virtual tutorial with that client. It was like, just use some water, babe, and just smooth that strand out. You know, you don't gotta like work too hard, just smooth it out. And she went to pool parties, shiny curly hair. And so it's truly a treatment. So you can command anywhere between those relaxer and Brazilian blowout treatments. And change and improve your revenue and improve your reputation in your area as a salon that really can do everyone's hair. Because here's the secret. Once you get us post-treatment, you saw what Amore's hair did. You saw what the chemically treated hair did. You saw what hair straightening does. It makes everything that all of your skills, it makes those skills shine through. Why? Because the hair is no longer compromised. It's no longer in this compromised state. It's better hair, and better hair is better to process. It's better to style. It's better to manage, and it's better for everyone.
Love that. Perfectly put. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we will make sure to have the full video up on YouTube where they can see the slide deck and actually see the results and not just hear them. So if you're interested, jump on over to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much.
Thank you.